Hello and welcome to Wonder Fund. Today we're going to be coming at you from Charlotte in the Noda neighborhood. We're over at the Salud Cerveceria and we are hanging out in this beautiful place, which is a coffee shop slash brewery. So here today we're going to be talking with my friend Gilbert, and he founded a new company out of Atlanta. It's called Esgro, and what they do is they hold people's money as a mobile app between service providers as well as their clients in a safe and secure place, so that when the job gets done, it can be dispersed out to them. This is something that's relatively new in terms of a mobile app, and it's something that they're solving. So Caleb, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Marvin. Yeah, so pretty much, just to touch on what he says, Esgro pretty much mitigates the risk within the freelancing or gig economy by allowing the client the ability to place the funds in holding before it gets to the service provider while the service provider does its work. So this came about because of a personal pain point that I experienced while I was in college. I was going to school for electrical engineering at the time, and oftentimes people would, I was tutoring kids, and oftentimes they would cancel or not show up and put me in a really bad financial bind, and thus came the idea of Esgro.
Cool, that's cool. And that probably happens a lot, not only just with tutors, but in all different types of services, right?
Yeah, so whenever we thought of the idea, me and my co-founder Peyton at the time, we made it a point, a good factor to go out to the market or the industry and different kinds of industries and really want to know more about how they handle and facilitate payments. It's been something that we were really passionate about from the get-go. So after that, we went out and talked to them, and a lot of times they would express this issue where it's not only all the time that they get either screwed over or whatnot, but it was very uncomfortable, right? Whenever you're going to create a relationship with a client, and say you're a graphic artist or whatnot, and the payment thing comes up. So it's always awkward because, like, what is pay now, pay later? Is it 50% now or 50 later? Are you gonna write a check? Is the check gonna bounce? Like, there's always this weird surrounding thing when it comes to payments for services.
I know it's kind of awkward sometimes when you're doing a service with somebody, and all of a sudden it's like, well, what are the terms going to be for the deal? And I can imagine that's kind of a problem and a sticking point in a lot of deals that don't go well.
No, it was it came to be a massive problem within the industry. I found out that over the years this problem has coined the phrase the risk of doing business.
Sure.
Right, since there is inherent risk in all business transactions because no one really knows what comes first. Is it the money or the product or service? So because of that, Esgro was created, and we saw it as a solution to this risk of doing business.
Now, how big of a market are we talking about here? You said it was massive. What does that look like?
Well, so primarily we're focusing on we'll be focusing on freelancers and gig economy workers, and the market within the United States is around $800 billion. So it's a pretty massive market. Within that market, I think we're going to focus on more software development, graphic artists. These are the people that come out to us and want us to solve this problem.
Okay. And how do people generally solve this problem today? How do they usually compensate for it?
Yeah, so there are a few methods people use, like that splitting payments as I talked earlier, which really doesn't solve anything. It just reduces the impact of when something bad happens.
Yeah.
And then they have like 30 to 90 day invoices, which is like, I do the work now, pay later when you can, that kind of thing. Doesn't always work. You have the small claims court, which is a pain, right?
Judge Judy.
Right, Judge
Ask
Judy.
Judge Judy to go solve your problems.
Right, yeah, you like take a day off work, go to court, oftentimes pay to go to court. It doesn't mean even if you win that you'll get the money. All it means is the fact that you have the ability to give it back or sell it to a debt collection agency for a loss. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for all of the solutions, all the things around it. We're trying to go around the problem, but nothing's really facing it. So Esgro, I think, really hits it.
Got it. So how does the app work? Can you walk us through that experience?
Yeah. So say me as a service provider, and you the viewer is our customer. Right? I would send a request via the app where there's an amount of days for the job being completed, a description of the goods, and then a guaranteed set retainer that's optional in mind to keep in the event that a cancellation occurs for opportunity cost or materials. It doesn't have to be used, it's just there. I would send that request to you, you would review it through the application, you would then accept it, and then the money would come out of your account and placed in holding. And then I would do my job, and then we would both approve through the application that the job was done, and then the money goes to me. Quick, simple, easy.
So how does it make money?
Yeah, so we charge a small transaction fee, $2 minimum on all transactions at 2% fee after that. So like anything over $100 is 2%, so it's like, $150 it'd be $3. So we have that option, or you can upgrade to a premium subscription for $17.99 a month, and that gives you the option to that lowers the transaction fee from 2% to 1%. These are for active daily users, people that use the application for a daily a way to do business on a daily basis.
So what will make it sticky? I would imagine that as you're trying to scale a new company, like all startups that are out there, it's one thing to build a product, but it's another thing to acquire customers.
Right.
And that strategy of acquiring customers is a whole nother side of the equation when you're building something. So how are you guys going to do that?
Absolutely right. Yeah, so there's different tactics we can go about it. Because the application is viral by design, meaning it takes another person to download it to use it, we have a couple methods. So we can either go straight to big name brands like say Angie's List or Tactful and go about that and try to partner with them. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to launch with our initial pre-registered users, which we have over 50 signed letters of intent. And we're going to be really focusing on customer retention and satisfaction, which allows that application to grow organically. And then simultaneously exploring new markets. We also, like I said, we might be reaching out to an Angie's List or Tactful, but I feel like this comes about when we're a lot more stabilized and a lot further along.
And it makes sense because you're talking about Angie's List, which is the millions of service providers that are out here in the country, and if you could tag on to somebody as big as that, this thing could blow up.
Right, absolutely.
So at its core, it's really like a transactions app in that sense, like if you were using something like Venmo or Cash App, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, but then because you're dealing with service providers and their contracts, like how does the app manage contracts and things like that?
Yeah, so the application manages contracts in a unique way. Instead of going the traditional banking route, we have the ability to store it into blockchain. So we'll be using blockchain to store, send, and manage the accounts. The application, in a technical sense, and I don't want to get too technical, it doesn't store on our device or on our system. It's actually on the user's phones. So y'all have complete and access control of your money. The only time that it actually comes about that we get involved is if you as a user choose to get us involved.
Okay. So, like, what drives you with all this? Why do you care about this problem so much?
Yeah. So, I guess a little bit of a backstory of me, because it kind of, I guess, shows you a little bit more about who I am. I guess. So I was the youngest of three. I moved around a lot, raised by a single mother. I was the first in my family to go to college, which required me to work 40, 50 hours a week, as well as going to school full time. And it was really an issue. I always faced these problems, these issues within the service industry, because I always did some odd end job around just to make ends meet. And I think the tutoring straw was the last one, the straw that broke the camel's back, and then it finally just clicked that an idea was happening. So I've been, in the service provider's shoes. I've, done graphic design. I've done, landscaping. I've done, electrical work. I've tutored kids. I've bartended private events. I've done everything I can to make money, and there was no adequate solution for the problems that I was facing, and this seems to be a solution for that problem. I knew I had a obligation to society to bring a solution for this risk of doing business to life. So.
Now, when you think about your consumer, and they're like you in that regard, and is there somebody that you think about that just really motivates you every day, that the reason why you get up?
Yeah, the majority of my friends from my childhood work freelancing jobs or odd-end jobs, you know, mechanic and all this kind of other stuff. So, you know, I've heard so many horror stories from them about these problems, and I know there are millions of other people that face the same problem, and I want to be there for them. I want this solution to be there for them. I know that, you know, a lot of times people have a side hustle or a side job.
Side hustle.
Right, a side hustle where they do like a little side gig that they're very passionate about, but they don't have the ability to pursue that full time. They don't really have the platform to allow them to do that, and that is what really I'm passionate about is because like this platform is a platform for people to be able to use that product. You know, like our mission statement is it is our mission to provide a platform that inspires our users to do what inspires them, and I stick by that every day, and I think that's what really drives me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So where are you guys today with the product? Is it complete? Are you MVP stage? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So right now we have the front end, the app on iOS and Android almost complete. We are integrating the payment solution in on the back end, and we should be up and launched running beta within a week or two.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And now, the way we met, Caleb, was through the Queen City FinTech Accelerator program, which is down here in Charlotte, and it was really cool experience to come down to a new city and then meet another startup who is really trying to change the world in what they're doing. And what just struck me about Caleb and what he's doing here is the fact that, you know, number one, you're looking at a technology that in the payment space is completely different from other payment apps that are out there. But then number two, there's a passion behind this that I see in you. And we've had many conversations about this, about what drives us and our why. And you know, I think this is what really makes it pretty unique. So as you think about telling other people why they should invest in you, why should they invest in you?
That's a good question. That's a good setup. So the why is, to me, the most important thing about any kind of venture that you're starting. I think a lot of times people get bogged down on like the end point. Oh, I want to sell this company for X, Y, Z. I want to make so much money, and they forget the true reason of why a business is created. A business is created to serve their customers and solve a problem, or produce happiness for somebody, or joy in somebody's life. And unfortunately, the society nowadays is just trying to turn a quick dollar, and that's just not me. So my why is to produce value for all of the stakeholders, including, you know, society and the surrounding communities. You know, if we can, I really hope to, and one of the reasons why our logo is a heart with hands, you know, shaking, is that I really want this to become philanthropic at a time where it will be able to provide money to surrounding struggling communities, and this is something I'm super passionate about because I don't come from wealth. So I really want this to be a conduit or the vehicle to drive that change, and that's more along the lines of my why.
So what do you need to make this happen?
Yeah, so we have the team.
Yeah.
We have Peyton Johnson and Tamia Chavradna, both graduated from Georgia Tech with computer science degrees. Very passionate.
You got the tech geeks.
Got the techs.
Yes.
So like, you know, right now we need the money to stabilize make sure we're buttoned up legally, make sure the product is just redefined and everything, and have money for stabilization of operations internally and everything else. So that's what we're really focused on right now, and we're ready to take it to that next step to bring on other people to really help us with this vision.
Yeah, and as we came into this Queen City FinTech Accelerator program, there's been a lot of great relationships that I know we've been connected with, including us, but then others in this ecosystem. It's a very huge banking kind of space. Can you tell people a little bit about some of those connections that you made, and how are those helping amplify the vision and mission that you have for Esgro?
Yeah, so initially when we started this, we were very fortunate to have the team that we did. I know that we were lacking a few things like regulatory experience, and when we got into this program, I think it really helped because we were teamed up with a lot of mentors from surrounding banking communities that really helped us, matured us over the time of this cohort to really give us the insight that we needed to the industry that we were pursuing. And I can't thank Queen City FinTech enough and Charlotte enough in the ecosystem for really introducing me to not only these mentors, but the surrounding companies that we had the ability to, like WonderFund, that we had the ability to connect with. And it's nice, me being a young founder, to have these kind of connections and these people I can reach out to. Almost seems like family. You work around them for 3 months, every day, cutting jokes across from the office. It was extremely, it was an amazing experience, and it's really helped mature me as a leader and, mature Esgro as well.
So was it, if you had to do it all over again, would you do an accelerator program, and what advice would you give to other aspiring startups that are out there who want to get their product off the ground?
Yeah, for the question about the accelerator, absolutely. I value the accelerator. Just the experience in itself is a great win. It's also something really good for your team, a morale boost to allow to show validation. I know me and as Esgro and WonderFund, we were under 3% of the total people that were accepted to this cohort. So it was very validating in our journey to be able to do that. And as for other entrepreneurs, you got to stick with it, and you got to find something deeper than money. I know that for a fact because a lot of my friends, a lot of my friends that have started companies, it's more primarily because of the financial, money that they can gain from it. They're so excited about the money they can gain, and not really about the change that they're creating in life or in society. And I think any great startup comes with a why. And I'm happy to have found my why early on and been able to stick with it. And that's the thing that keeps me driven. That's the thing that lets me hit these 100-hour weeks. That why is what really pushes it. So find your why, if anything. That's my major advice, is find why you're doing it and make sure it's bigger than money.
So what's next for you?
Yeah, so right now we'll be finishing up the cohort next week for the demo day at FinTech Generation, so we'll both be pitching there. I'll be heading back down to Atlanta to talk more to some of my potential clients, these businesses that have signed up. And then after that, we also have a hub here in Charlotte, so I might probably be coming up here a lot and talking to Charlotte in that sense. We'll be focusing primarily on the beta and making sure that our customer satisfaction and customer experience is incredible. That's what we're really looking forward to.
Well, great. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Again, I just want to thank Caleb for all his time here today just to share what he's doing.